Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan. Today we are going to be breaking down the Chicago Bears 2024 season. We're going to give the maximum ceiling and then the absolute floor that you could expect from the Chicago Bears record this year. But before we get into that, if you have not already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the Tracy Take, and also tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. The NFL season is right around the corner, and we will be coming up with weekly Chicago Bears prediction videos starting on week 1, so that you're not going to miss those. So be sure to like this video, subscribe, and also tackle that bell. Ryan, let's quickly recap all of the improvements from the Chicago Bears this past offseason. I will say, start off, quarterback, number one, biggest improvement overall. Receiving room, also, I think, giant improvement. Obviously, they still DJ Moore, but then you go and bring on Keenan Allen, you draft Rome Odunze. That's already a stellar receiving trio. You could make an argument you could put those up against probably any receiving trio in the league. Obviously, maybe it's too early to say. I mean, technically, it is too early to say because we haven't seen the three of them on the field together. But on paper, I mean, this should be a match made in heaven. Then you get Caleb Williams here as well coming in. Great offensive line. I think a much improved defense overall. I couldn't think of a better situation for a first overall quarterback to come into. For a first overall pick quarterback to coming into his rookie season.
Yeah, I mean, this offensive line was good. This defense in the last 8 or 9 games of last year was one of the top defenses in the league. Like, they have a lot of the pieces set up that when you go look at the Trevor Lawrence Jacksonville Jaguars his rookie year, they were 2-14, I believe. I think that was the last season they did 16 games. So that season in itself was just weird, and then that team had a lot of missing pieces. Go look at even like the Joe Burrow Bengals when he was the first overall pick. That was not a good team. This Chicago Bears team is ready to win right now, and Caleb Williams, while he's a clear upgrade at the position over Justin Fields, he's going to still need that room to grow. But think about where this team could be in November, December, going into January, and like how talented this roster is, and I think that's really scary to think about looking forward.
Ryan, I think that's an amazing segue to actually let's go see how they're going to be faring come November and December. But first, we got to check out September and October. So let's look at their schedule here. Week 1 hosting Tennessee, then week 2 at Houston on Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a fun game. Week 3 at Indianapolis. Week 4 hosting the Rams. Week 5 hosting Carolina, and then week 6 they're technically hosting Jacksonville, but in London, so it's going to be an away game for both of those teams here. And I will say, looking at the ceiling here for the Chicago Bears team, I think they're going to lose to Houston. I think they're probably going to lose to the Rams. I think just kind of overall experience. So, but maybe if they sneak out one of those games, I think maybe maximum ceiling, I think, is going to be 5-1. Floor, though, I will say, if it takes some time here, I can see them going 2-4 if they lose to both Indy and Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And I'm not just saying that to agree. Realistically, I think the only team that I'm confidently picking over them to beat the Bears is going to be Houston at Houston on Sunday Night Football. Caleb Williams' second start. That's the only one that I look at and I was like, okay, that one is probably a loss. All the other games, I mean, pretty favorable matchups all around. And Jacksonville and UK, usually Thursday night games and those, like the international games, come down to just who has more playmakers. And I think you look, this Bears defense is better than Jacksonville's. This wide receiver room is better than Jacksonville's. Like this offensive line is probably better than Jacksonville. So a lot of the other pieces are going to push this team over the edge, especially while in this first block of games, Caleb Williams is getting caught up and up to speed on a lot of the ins and outs of the NFL game. So, starting off the second block of 6 games, they have a bye. Then they're at Washington, at Arizona. They host New England, Green Bay, and then to wrap it up, they host Minnesota as well. So 2 away games, 3 home games here. And I mean, really, I would say 4-1 would probably be the ceiling. I think at Arizona could be a tough game just because of how hard they play. Green Bay is a really good team as well. but they're a much better team than Washington, New England, and Minnesota at the moment.
Yeah, I think if they, I agree with you. I think 4-1 is going to be the ceiling here. And I think the floor, I find it hard to believe, even kind of with this team. I think Arizona is going to be sneaky. You never know with Minnesota, just with it being just a division game. So I think the floor, though, is still going to be like 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But I'll say now that, I mean, this is going to be the stretch here that it is like, if they don't come out at least with a winning record during this 5-game stretch, I mean, it's going to be a lost season because you're playing 4 of the weakest teams by record, at least, in this past season, then too, and in Minnesota, then too, as well. I mean, a lot of that record though was because of how great Kirk Cousins was last year until he got hurt. If you go like look at the team now and everything, I believe Minnesota's going to have a rough season as well. Maybe like it's a division game, so you never know. But if they struggle with Minnesota, then I think it's going to be just a tough season overall for Chicago. I think that should be a win. But so I think 2 and 3, like worst case scenario floor during that 5-game stretch. And then wrapping up here, though, is where I think the season is going to get really fun. Week 13, they're playing Detroit on Thanksgiving. Then it's going to be at Detroit, at San Francisco on Week 14, at Minnesota on Monday Night Football. And they host Detroit Week 16. And they host Seattle on Thursday Night Football. And then they are at Green Bay to wrap up the season. I'll say outside of that Minnesota game, that's a pretty tough end to the schedule where you go up against Detroit twice and then at Green Bay. 2 of those 3 games are on the road. Then you throw San Francisco in the mix. That's a tough stretch for any team. Let alone the fact that this team who on paper, as we've talked about, should be really, really good. But to me, I'll say it now. I think best case scenario, they come out. I mean, you could say whatever, but I really think if I look at it, I have a tough time that they're going to beat Green Bay at Green Bay. I think they're going to lose to Detroit at least once. I think they're going to I think they're going to lose to San Francisco. So to me, I will say I think best case scenario during the stretch is going to be 3 and 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably their ceiling, especially 3 really tough on the road matchups. I highly doubt, especially a team. I know Caleb Williams is one of the most highly touted rookie quarterbacks we've seen in a while. He's still a rookie quarterback in the NFL, and especially these late November, December games. This is where the NFL's level of play even just continues to rise throughout the entire year. So not only are you getting this increased level of play, you're also playing. Detroit is expecting to compete for a Super Bowl. San Francisco is expecting to play for a Super Bowl. Green Bay is expecting to play for a Super Bowl. 4 out of the 6 games are teams expecting to play in a Super Bowl. So that's going to be a really tough stretch. I think 3 and 3 is probably their ceiling. 1 and 5, I think, is probably their floor. I don't see them going 0 and 6 just because maybe they'll eke out one of those games. That Minnesota game is standing out to me a little bit there. So all in all, high hopes, I think, for the Chicago Bears. Still definitely in a rebuilding phase, but I think they have a lot of the pieces there already. They just need time and experience to grow and get those players in to develop into true star players. And once they get that, this team is loaded and should terrify a lot of teams.
Oh, yeah. And I think, too, kind of with that, I think they have a pretty fair range here just with their overall talent, just because of the team that was technically picking in the top 10. I know they picked in the top 10 twice, but still picking in the top 10 from last year and having a ceiling as a 12-5 record on paper. I think that's absolutely fair for this team, but it's still on paper. And so I think having 5 and 12, you are having a rookie quarterback coming in, then learning the ways of the NFL. I don't believe they're going to go 5. I don't believe they're going to go 5 and 12. I had them going 9 and 8. You had them going 10 and 7 in our offseason recap review for our record prediction. And I think that's going to be fair. That's probably going to be about where they end up because they're going to have games where they look like they're Super Bowl champs, but then they're going to have games where for some reason or whatever they might lose to Carolina in Week 5. You know what I mean? Like a game that they shouldn't lose, but just because it is a younger team and it's a younger team kind of all throughout. Outside of like a couple of key veterans, especially in the receiving room. But I think it's going to be a good team. a lot of intriguing stories this
Mm-hmm.
season. But I think they're definitely going to be one of the main ones, just because of how much talent is on this field. And it's weird for these expectations for a team that's picking number 1 overall.
Yeah. What was their ceiling? Sorry.
12-5.
12-5, but then 5-12 was the floor. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that is a fair range. Like you said, we both had them about in the middle. So
yeah.
I really like the Chicago Bears and what they have going for them. They hit the lottery with the DJ Moore trade. So that was you can never predict that, but that was really well done on their behalf, and they're gonna kind of reap the benefits of that for a long time to come. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Chicago Bears offseason, and let us know what you think their floor and ceiling will be in 2024. And on that, we will see you guys next time.